DaBaby's debut album, Baby on Baby, was alright. It was decent. I didn't touch on this channel. Unfortunately, I don't always get a chance to do every album that I want to do. Sometimes I miss some, but I did listen to it, and I think, yeah, it was decent. Some good trap bangers on there. You could probably take or leave a few tracks. It was pretty much just one of those albums that knew what it was doing, had a bit of fun with it, and pretty much stuck to one idea the whole way through. There wasn't really much versatility, let's be honest, but I think for what it was going for, I thought it was pretty fun. DaBaby had some mainstream attention through that track. He also then made it onto the XXL freshman list for 2019. There was a lot of hype around him, a lot of eyes on him to see where he'll go next. The freestyle he did was actually my favorite freestyle, so I was definitely excited to see where he'd go. A little did I know though that he'd drop an album this quickly. I didn't think we'd have 2 projects from the guy in 1 year, but you know, it doesn't really matter too much. If the quality is there, then the quality is there, you can't complain. The quality on Kirk though is not really there. This is kind of worse than Baby on Baby. Here's the thing, right? He dropped Intro about a week before the album came out. I was really impressed. I thought Intro might actually be his best song to date. I think the way he goes more introspective and personal on that track is really admirable, because you're getting an insight onto who DaBaby is, a bit more of an understanding of things that's going on in his life. Not that it's something that you necessarily needed. We didn't really need a track like this, but I definitely am happy we got a track like this. Reminds me a lot of Meet Again by Maxo Cream. Just the way Maxo goes really introspective and personal on that track while flowing really well, bouncing on a really nice beat, coming through with a good hook, you know, that kind of thing. I think this is DaBaby's version of that. But to title the song Intro and have it as the introduction to your album, I just don't understand why. Like, this is the most out of place intro I think I've heard in a long time. This does not introduce or set up anything on this album. It's just a one-off moment where you get some insight on his personal life, and it's not even like setting up a theme. It's not even like, you know, every other track follows more personal stories from DaBaby. Like, he just pretty much just gives you this one track, and then every other track is kind of just DaBaby doing DaBaby, which to me is just so disappointing, because I just don't feel like he's being versatile on this album at all. You could kind of place some of these tracks on Baby and they wouldn't even be out of place, because they're kind of the same. It just makes me feel like he really should have sat with this longer, because at least then he would have had time to progress his ideas. But because we've had this so soon after his first album, of course they're just out here sounding the same. Another rapper in 2019 falling into the habit of dropping too many projects close together, and of course it doesn't work. He's giving you that same flow, completely reminiscent of every other DaBaby song on almost every track on this album. Near enough the same beats. Some of these beats sound copied and pasted. Seriously, the track Really, and then going into Prolly, I think, and Toes as well, like that little track Run, they all sound like the same beats to me. Not the exact same, but it's pretty much just the hi-hats and that bass boom, boom, boom. Like, it's just so boring and monotonous. And I really could just end the review there, because you're really getting the same thing on every track. The hooks are barely existent, because he doesn't really switch things up when he gets from the verse to the chorus, so it all kind of sounds like it's all flowing together. The beats don't really switch up either. It's just really, really poor hooks being thrown in for kind of the sake of it, I guess. Lyrically, like I've already said, I guess he's not the most lyrical rapper, but he gave us something on the intro track, so I at least thought we'd get something better than what we get on tracks like iPhone. Trying to stay off my iPhone, told my bitch I love you, that was just a typo. She gonna drive me crazy, she's a psycho, what? Then there's Nicki Minaj's feature, which is just really weak. I don't really feel like she adds enough to the song personally, as well as many of the other features on the album coming from Chance the Rapper, Migos. Really just kind of I don't know, in one ear, out the other. They don't land a punch. They don't warrant their features, really. They're kind of just there. Chance, once again, doing his nasally, annoying delivery. Genuinely a bad song as well. This is one of the worst tracks on the album, easily. Migos on Raw Shit. Definitely one of the hardest beats, I think, on the album. But I don't really feel like Migos add enough to the song. The track Toes is just like 2 minutes long, and it squeezes in 2 features from Lil Baby and Moneybagg Yo, and I don't know, I feel like you need a longer track really to flesh out features if you're going to include 2 on one song. And the tracks on the album are pretty short for the most part. I mean, he kind of just gives you what he gives you and then leaves quite quickly. He's not really like packing a punch for very long. The tracks don't really stick around too long, which is probably a good thing considering how there isn't any diversity amongst the tracks, so if they were any longer it'd probably be even worse of a listen. But he really just needs to vary things up. I mean, he comes on nearly every beat the same way. Sometimes the beat barely even begins and he's already rapping on some of the tracks. He throws in his "let's go" on every fucking song. It gets so boring to listen to. The worst track here though has got to be There He Go. The hook on that thing is just inexcusable. The little ad-libs he throws in on that chorus as well are just so corny. He's like, huh? Okay. Man, this was a huge letdown. I thought there was something in DaBaby. I really did. He's just really displaying right now that he's such a one-trick pony that I'm kind of wondering if people are going to really let go of him at some point, because it's becoming very see-through. And then to top it all off as well, he ends the album off on the freestyle that he did a few months back, but he's just changed the beat, so the beat is just a generic beat that fits the Kirk album, and it's just the same lyrics that he used before. I just find it weird that he did this. If other rappers in the past have done this as well, I'd say the same thing. It's not like I'm just critiquing DaBaby on this, but like, I don't know, I just feel like the freestyle that you do is there to kind of make your mark, show people who you are. It's an in the moment type thing where you're ready to show the world that you've got what it takes to make something great in the future and give people a reason to hype up your name. But then you use the same thing you did before and throw it on your album. It just kind of loses the essence. It loses the spark of what the freestyle stands for me. And not only that, but it does sound considerably less interesting than what it did originally. So yeah, it just feels really out of place. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't like this really. It's borderline bad actually, because nothing really sticks with me. They are straightforward bangers, but I'm not getting hype over them. They're not really like resonating with me at all. They completely breeze by. They don't impact me at all. I could see people enjoying these just for kind of like the fun element of them, but like I'm just not getting that out of it. I like the first track, that was really good, but everything else I could throw away. This was not that good at all. I'm gonna go 4.5 out of 10. I think he's kind of boxed himself into one style here. He needs to break out of that box in the future and really switch things up, or it's just going to get really stale. Thank you for watching my review though. Hopefully you agreed. Hopefully you got something out of it. If you agree, disagree, whatever, let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching my review. Please don't get mad at me. Have a good day. Goodbye.